So, hello everybody. How you feel? Put a word in the chat that describes how you are feeling right now. How you feeling, powerhouses? I'm over here laughing. You guys remember last week I couldn't get the sound to play, and this week I couldn't get one of my computers to stop the audio. So I'm just over here laughing at my technology. Okay, good. You guys are already all right. Michelle says she's excited. Demisha, you're blessed and anointed. That's what I'm talking about. Excited, grateful, happy, amazing, full. Okay, Jay, full. I like that. Amazing. I feel thankful. Let me tell you, I am in such an amazing mood today. Not only do I get to spend today with you, Proverbs 31 powerhouses, but I'm going to take the day off and I'm just going to relax and kind of sort of have my solo kingdom date with God. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me switch this screen here. We're going to have a good time. Hopefully you can see me. My screen is doing something really weird, and that's fine because I'm the right one for it. We're going to have a good time today. If you remember, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Zoom. It's okay. If you remember last week when we met, we talked about the 7 secrets. We talked about the 7 secrets to building the community that God has called you to build, right? And so today we're going to segue from that. But here is the deal. I'm not going to spend as much time as I normally do on scripture because I want you guys to go into your breakthrough rooms and get more time together, networking and just loving on one another and seeing how you fit in one another's vision for the future. How does that sound? That sounds good to you guys? Because usually you get about maybe 10 or 15 minutes in your breakthrough sessions and then you're coming back. And I can tell some of you have left some really great conversations on the table. If this is your first time with us, I want you to go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. And while you're dropping that 1, let me say we don't force you into the spotlight. So if you're comfortable, turn your cameras on. We don't make you speak here. We accept you however you want to show up and play with us, but we would like to see your beautiful faces. Doesn't matter if you're at work or if you're driving, just don't stare at the camera. We would love to see your beautiful face. Put a 2 in the chat if this is your second time with us, and put family in the chat if you're always here. You guys know the routine. We're stuck with you. You ain't going nowhere. Okay, great. Okay, welcome Patrice Rogers. Welcome Melinda and Geneva. Yes, Auntie D, family, and listen, Auntie D, drop in the chat. How you doing? How you recovering from tax season? Has it started to wane? Has your workload started to decrease now? Welcome, Natasha. Welcome back. I like how you spelled that, Natasha or Natasha. I like that. Nai. I love it. Val, yes, Val and I had a really great conversation, I think like a week ago. I'm not going to disclose what it was about, but we had a good conversation just laughing. Jay, yes, family. Heidi, yes, family. Demisha, welcome back. Whitney, yes, family. Yolanda, welcome. Allie, welcome. Jennifer, welcome back. Nicole, welcome. Listen, there's so many of you guys. Too many to name. It is just so good to be with you guys. And can I just say that I am just so honored that you would spend your Tuesday with me. So thank you. Thank you for showing up, and just thank you for showing up for your business. If you are a content creator, if you are a speaker, if you are an influencer, you are in the right place, my loves. We talk about speaking strategies, sales strategies, community building, whatever it is that I have to give, I give it to you. And I pop the hood. I spare no expense. You know, you come on some programs and some platforms, and what they do is they will sell you maybe part 1 of the strategy, and then they'll get you to buy in you know, the other pieces of it, which is absolutely fine because that's some of the things that some of you guys are going to be doing. But right now I am under a strict covenant for this year. I am not selling any programs. I'm working on some other things. God has my hands in so many other things. I'm just, thank you, Jesus, for just trusting me with the mission. And so I have decided that this year, my value is radical obedience. I will be radically obedient to his word. Because listen to me, one act of obedience can save you from 1,000 arrows. One act of obedience, one act of, not having sex with a man that you're not married to can save you from 1,000 arrows. One act of not spending frivolously can save you from 1,000 arrows. And so radical obedience, oh my goodness, hopefully that resonates with some of you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. If you have never sat in front of me, let me say that we don't sell you anything. I'm going to pop the hood. I'm going to share some strategies. Anything that I put on the screen, feel free to take a screenshot. Anything that we say or share, feel free to take it and apply it to your communities. I want you to launch. I want to give you the tools where you're not just sitting around procrastinating, saying that one day I'll do X, Y, and Z. One day when I have the money, I'll do A, B, and C. I want you to act now because God is calling you to act now. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen. I'm just going to do a quick recap of some of the things that we went over last week so that your brains are kind of, primed as we go through the lesson that we're going to talk about today, which today we're going to be talking about, how you can build your community agenda. Because what happens is that you Proverbs 31 powerhouses, you'll say, okay, Queen, I follow all the strategies. And now I'm meeting with my community for the first time in 2 weeks. Well, what do we talk about? Right? Because we care. We want to make sure that when our community shows up, that they leave with an impact. Raise your hand if you care about that. Right? Like you care, because there's a saying, when you show up and you speak, you're not speaking to just say what you want to say. You're sharing what they need to hear. Right? And that is how you drive that impact. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to create an agenda so that you can meditate on it, you can pray on it, you can visualize, and then you can say, hey, this is an agenda that I believe will absolutely get my people going. Now, while I share my screen, somebody please unmute and share the one rule that we have here.
Never pass
up the opportunity to take the mic.
Listen, I heard Queen Slayton, which is my mother, my Ema, y'all. And I also heard Jay. Thank you. That's right. Listen, love. Jai. Thank you. I'm telling you, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right one day. Listen, y'all. Never pass up the opportunity to take the mic. And you guys hear me say it 1,000 times. It is so easy to do when you understand that you are speaking to share. You're not speaking to impress. You guys know my background. I had a speech impediment. And sometimes you will hear me run over words. But I keep going because I care more about the message than I do myself. We are all just family members. We're sitting at that dining room table. In a second, I'm going to tell Jay to pass me the salt. And we're just having a dinner room conversation. It's just as simple as that. It is not about you. It is about the message that God has planted inside of you. And once you tap into that realization, you don't care that you may not know the $5,000 words. Because I'm here to tell you that those $5,000 words, most people don't connect to it anyway. Who's heard of the pratfall effect? Pratfall effect. So in psychology, there is something called the pratfall effect, Pratfall effect. Check my spelling on it, but it's pratfall effect. The pratfall effect says this. It says that if you are intelligent, if you're already considerably intelligent and you make a mistake, for some reason, people like you more. They like you more. So if I were to come and sit in front of you and I did everything just perfectly correct, research says that more than half of you will like me a lot less because we don't connect to perfect. We don't connect to being a robot. Yeah. Look it up. Listen, there are times, because as speakers, what will happen is that you guys will go on platforms and you'll get so good at saying certain things where it's almost just embedded in your memory. And research shows that you almost have to make yourself make a mistake so that your likability increases. Isn't that something? So, for example, if I am doing a speech, if I'm doing a presentation and I just know this presentation intimately, y'all, then what I will have to do is every once in a while, I say something like, there's this song, it's stuck in my head. It's like this, and I have to do this tip of the tongue state thing. And then what happens is you as the audience will say, you're singing this little light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But when you do things like that, it makes your audience like you a little bit more. Isn't that something? Okay, yeah. All right, so let me share my screen here. Let's kind of go over what we went over for the last few sessions. And like I said before, my loves, if there is anything on the screen that I share and you want it, please screenshot it. So we talked about the 7 secrets to kingdom building. And let's just go straight. We went over Nehemiah. Oh my goodness. Nehemiah, a cupbearer, a wine taster, who went from that to building a wall, to helping the Israelites restore their identity, to help rebuild covenant between a people and God, even though he had never stepped foot in the kingdom of Judah. Like, oh, such an amazing story. So we really dived into Nehemiah, y'all, in the building of the wall. And the challenge was, what wall is God calling you to build? What group, tribe, community of people is God calling you to help them with their identity restoration? So we went through all of that, if you remember. And then we talked about high converting systems that you can use. Because some of you are like, hey, listen, I want to know what systems and tools I can use in this sector that I'm in. Because some of you have been in it for a while. Some of you are just starting out. And some of you are pivoting. And we talked about that. And we also included the language of your next level. Like, for example, CRM. You're going to hear the term CRM quite often. CRM stands for Client Relations Management. You need a system that houses all of your registrants, all of your clients, the people who you meet when you're networking, just strangers. You need a system, something that is just set already where you have access to their email address and phone numbers. Raise your hand if you got a text reminder from me. Anybody got a text reminder from me saying to show up today? Yeah, CRM. Right? So you need to have systems like that set up so you can send emails. And here are a list of some of the CRM systems that you might quite possibly need. Now, if you're in the health industry, you may have your own health industry related systems. I use Kajabi. When you're receiving emails from me, it's because I'm using Kajabi. Kajabi is all inclusive for those of you who are interested in podcasting and building a community where you can track their productivity, how engaging they are being, and you want to issue like awards and gamify. Kajabi can do that. Also, schools. Do I have schools on here? Schools, yeah, I love schools. It's really easy on the pocket. It is so easy to use. School is Alex Hermosi's project. That's his baby. Alex Hermosi is a sales genius, and he makes things so simple. So here are some of the things that you can use. Some of you may say, I don't want to build my community and be face to face with them like you and I are right now. That's absolutely fine. Then you have communities that are built on discourse. I have a community on discourse. You have WhatsApp, GroupMe, Telegram. The only one that I'm not crazy about is social media, if you remember, because social media, if you are on Facebook and you build a community on Facebook, let's say that somebody reports you for whatever vindictive reason, then Facebook can put you in Facebook jail, and you don't know when they're going to release you, and you have a whole community that's waiting on you to show up. So Facebook makes it clear that you are basically renting property from them. So not a fan of building communities with Facebook. So also AI. Raise your hand if you're using AI, artificial intelligence already, right? Okay, great. Some of you are. If you have not gotten acquainted with AI, I will highly encourage you to do that because a lot of your content, your copy, your books, your marketing, all of that can be built through AI. Now, being a solopreneur does not mean you have to go at it alone. As a solopreneur, you can still hire freelancers. Some of you may be freelancers, but you can also use systems like AI, like artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT-5, ChatGPT, and other AI platforms. You can also, after you type and do things, some of you are paying a lot of money for freelancers to say, for example, create pictures for your content. AI can create pictures as well. You can tell AI, I want to create a picture of an avocado inside a chair, and both the avocado and the chair is inside of a man's stomach. And it'll do that. And you tell it, change the color, stand taller. It'll do all of that for you. So get acquainted with AI. You'll find that many of the things that you need that an executive assistant can do, AI can do it for you. So we also talked about some high performance routines. Some of you right now are saying, well, where am I going to get people for my community so that I can launch the agenda that we're going to talk about? We talked about bark.com. If you remember, bark.com, I have no affiliation with them outside of just using them for teaching methods. But you can go, and hopefully some of you already went and set up your bark.com account. Now listen, let me pause for a second and say this. My loves, I want you to get in the habit of, when you're taking notes, don't just take notes. Create a to-do list. You understand me? Create a to-do list when you are taking notes. That means if something is said like, learning the language of your next level, like a CRM, like a client relationship management system, then I need for you to write down, if you don't have one, by, November 30th, have my CRM system set up. And then you can do your backwards planning. So if you know you're going to have that set up November 30th on your to-do list, you just jot it out on the side. And then you can plug it in on your calendar later. Because listen to me. Things that gets scheduled gets done. If it ain't on your calendar, it is not going to happen. Name of the game is to, when you open up your Gmail calendar, whatever calendar you have, when you open up your calendar, the name of the game is to fill in the white space. Like right now, we're 2025 is almost over with. Raise your hand if you already have 2026 already built. Raise your hand. Who's already built out 2000? Right now, you should already know what 2026 looks like. And if you don't, on your to-do calendar, I need for you to write, find a time. I need for you to go and sanitize your calendar and say, on this day, I'm going to sit with all of my goals and I'm going to plug it in on my calendar. And you're going to have quarterly goals. One of the things, I don't have the book. There is a book called The 12-Week Year. 3 months. The 12-week year. Raise your hand if you heard of it. 12-week year? Okay. So, okay, great. Yolanda has. The 12-week year. It is a great book. It's a secular book, but it is a, thank you. What was that? Name went by so fast. It's a secular book. It's not a faith-driven book, but the Apostle Paul said we can be, he was all things to all men. And so when you get this book, if you choose to get this book, it's a red and white book. I forget who the author is, but it's not a lot of 12-week year books out there. Powerful book. It basically debunks the myth of a 12-month year. Imagine if you could accomplish all your 12-month goals in 12 weeks. What would your life look like? Talk about being obsessive, talking about 10xing your goals. Ooh, because here's the deal. A lot of us have it in our mindset that we have all year to accomplish our goals. But most of us work really well under pressure, right? We work really, really well under pressure. So imagine if you have that 12-month pressure every 12 weeks. you would be knocking stuff out left and right. So I don't have enough time to really dive into the pointers from the book, but please consider getting that book, and please consider every time you're in a class, please consider taking your notes, but on the side, in the margin, creating a to-do list. And then that way, when you get off the call, you're actionizing things. Okay, let me get back to the screen share so we can cover some more ground. Now, most of you guys who've been in my community for a while, you know how I do. But for the first timers, I will often go to the left or right. Kind of, it may feel like I'm going off the path a little bit, but I want to make sure that, because many of you are at different levels. Some of you are in the infancy stage, which I love because I get an opportunity to show you how to do things the right way. And so I don't have to go back and undo a lot of garbage that you picked up. And some of you are at the seed stage, the growth stage, and the scale stage. So I want to make sure that there is something in it for all of you. And for those of you that are not at a certain level, my philosophy is I want you to know it before you need it, right? So jot down the notes anyway. So bark.com, you can go in, you can create an account with them as a professional. You can start selling your services, because this gives you an opportunity to start working with folks one-on-one before you launch a community. So you'll get used to the type of problems and questions that folks are going to ask you one-on-one when you set up and you get clients on bark.com, for example. And for many of you that are sitting around saying, you know, I'm hemorrhaging money. I need a cash infusion process. Bark.com. You can go on there right now. There's some 1,000 people who are looking for you and what you do, who are ready to hire you. And you can start generating an income and making the impact as well. All right. So we talked about the things that you must know, which is, what do you do? What is your story? And what is your offer? Even if you feel like you don't have the resources to launch your community right now, even if you do have the resources, these 3 things you should be able to articulate at the drop of a dime. And then we went into some strategies on how to draw that out as well. Okay. We talked about nurturing your community. These are some things that you're going to do in order to create what's called an event funnel. So raise your hand if you have more than 500 folks on your email list now. More than 500. More than 500. Okay. Yes, Whitney. Thank you. So if you don't have more than 500 people that you can email and talk about your products and services to, then that should be a goal. And that could be your goal for this quarter. It's not too late. That should be your goal. And also, we talked about KPIs. That's a part of some of your language of your next level. KPI is a key performance indicator. Key performance indicator. That means that you're going to set measurable outcomes for that drive the momentum of your business, of your community, of what it is that you do. So you might say, by December, I'm going to have at least 200 people on my list, on my Excel sheet or my CSV sheet, that I can email about my products and services. And everybody should have raised their hand when I asked, do you have at least 500 people that you can tell? Because I promise you that you do. If you simply open up an Excel document and you take out your phone and you copy every name and phone number in there, even if you don't have their email address, all you need is a phone number or you need an email address. You can start an Excel document, capture all of that information, put it on an Excel document, and then you go to your Facebook, your Instagram, go to your Gmail, and collect all of those names as well. It's okay if your mother, you see my mother is here supporting me now. It is okay if your mother is on the list. I'm going to tell you why. My mother is on my list, and she has brought 3 or 4 folks to the community. My mother, right? I don't care if your mailman is on the list. They may not come, but they know somebody who eventually will come. You hear me? So your goal is to get 500 folks, and then you email them what it is that you do. your story, and you don't have to email the offer right off the bat, but email them that, and you're going to create your list. And you combine that with going to bark.com, you're going to get more folks for your list as well. In the beginning, my loves, in the beginning, money is not the most important thing. In the beginning, your email list is so important. Oh my goodness. Because see, some of you are going to set up an event and you're going to say, well, I can do a 4-hour or a 2-hour masterclass or intensive or boot camp, and you can do it digitally online. And then your next question is going to be, should I charge people to come to my class? And I will ask you, as your coach, as your friend, as your chief executive friend, I will say then, instead of allowing feelings like I need money right now to drive your decisions, as business owners, we have to think logically. We have to think spiritually. And one of the questions I will ask you is, how many folks do you have on your email list now? If you tell me you have less than really 1,000, I'm going to tell you, do not charge 1 cent for the event. Do not charge 1 cent, because right now your goal is to increase your email list. And there's a few reasons why. Every month you should make $1 for everybody that's on your email list. $1. And then 2, when you increase your email list, you are getting exposure to the people who need your products and services. You need their information so that you can keep retargeting them. Okay? Because what'll happen is that some people will see your advertisement and say, okay, she's charging $47, $97, or even $17 to go to her class. Well, I just don't have it right now. Or I do have it, but I ain't never heard of her. And they'll just keep going. But they really do need what you have. So you need their email. You guys get it. So I think that I've kind of beat that horse in the head long enough. So we talked about the email sequencing. You need to have a list of emails for before, so they get on your email list, and you constantly have to be in their face. You're going to be faced with the question of, am I emailing them too much? I always say no, you're not. People will unsubscribe from your list. It comes along with the territory. But the ones that are meant for you are meant for you. So you need a host of emails to send them before they come to your event. And that's why you need the AI, because the AI will build your emails just like that. And you can train it to capture your voice. That's a whole other class. You need a host of emails for during, because people will sign up for your stuff and they will forget about you and they won't show up. And then you also need emails for after this. Like, for example, once you guys get off with me, it's already set. It's already in the sequence. You guys will receive an email saying, hey, listen, will you give a testimonial about your experience on this platform? And I hope that you guys will take the time to leave a testimonial like many of you have done. And the ones that have given a testimonial, I sent out a mass text message saying thank you. So hopefully you got that. Okay, let's keep going. Now, this part is important. This part is so important because when you're running a community, it's like, raise your hand if you're in ministry, if you're an evangelist, a pastor, a prophet, an apostle, a disciple. If you're in ministry and you teach ministry-like classes, put a yes in the chat. Let me see the chat. Put yes, yes, yes. I want to know who is here. Yes. Anybody here in ministry? Okay. Val, Jay. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Seegers. Look at there. I didn't even see you come in. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. So you guys know what it's like when you are teaching and you have to come up with a different subject every week. Right? Like I remember one pastor told me he was so drained because he would have to come up with one subject on a Wednesday, and then on Sunday morning he had to come up with a subject, and he couldn't repurpose that because Sunday night that was back during the time when you went to church in the morning and night. They don't really do it like that no more. And then Sunday night he had to have a whole other sermon, right? And so that can be taxing. Well, one of the ways that you can get ahead of that, because event burnout is real. You can get burnt out just trying to come up with subjects and preparing for it. It is real. But one of the ways that you can come up with subjects and to ensure that the subjects that you come up with are impactful is this little thing. You guys know I love making complex things simple. And so what you're going to do is say, you're going to ask yourself, like, what is something that my people just don't know that they need to know? And usually it is problem driven. Everything you do solves a problem. Val, you and I just talked about that, right? The problem that we solve. And so everything that you do solves a problem. Every class, this class right here solves a problem for you guys. And so the way that you go about capturing those problems is you go to search sites like Pew Research Center, the Gallup, Barna, and then you go to Answer the Public. When you go to sites like even Elephant Journal, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Elephant Journal, you're going to come across people across the World Wide Web that are asking questions about different things. One of the most popular questions that people are asking right now is on Google searches, because people are lonely, and that's a problem in itself. How do I make friends as an adult? That's why books like How to Win and Influence Friends are national bestsellers. And so you very well could answer that for them. Because remember, it's not about what you want to say, it's about what they need to hear. And so in order to draw that out, you're going to ask the who, as many who questions as possible. So you'll sit down and you will actually write out the 5 W's and the 1 H word, and underneath come up with at least 10 questions underneath each one. When you do that, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, when you do that and you answer all 60, my loves, you have at least 60 pieces of content, or 60 classes, or 60 lives you can do on Facebook, or 60 emails, 60 pieces of content that you can repurpose for whatever. So for example, if I was a wealth strategist, and I am, I would say, who else went from rags to riches? Who else was born with a silver spoon in their mouth? And I would draw out as many who else had imposter syndrome. Loves, do you guys know that Dr. Maya Angelou had imposter syndrome? She was recorded as saying, when her 10th book came out, she said, I have a feeling that at any moment now, they're going to find out that I'm a failure. Albert Einstein had imposter syndrome. If I were to give a class on imposter syndrome and I bring that to the table and I talk about how these people who we love and respect and how they had bouts with imposter syndrome, and then I lead you guys in a worship deliverance ceremony on how to rebuke that, because we don't claim no imposter syndrome, right? That would be so impactful, right? And then where? I can ask as many where questions as possible on behalf of my community. And where is not just geographically, but where were they in life? Were they homeless? Were they living on the streets? That type stuff. Why questions? At your front door. Listen, I know y'all heard that. Amazon, we got a little thing going on, so they be delivering boxes for me all the time. So why questions? When, what, how? You guys get the gist. But I'm telling you, this simple thing that you do could change the game as far as having content, meaningful content for your community. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Now, we also talked about the importance of having a funnel. A funnel is that thing that we set up that turns a stranger into a lifetime community member. And it begins with a lead magnet. You guys remember, I think I used a site called PLC. I think it was PLC content, pre-licensed content, something like that. You can use them to help create a lead magnet. Lead magnet is that thing that people grab for free in exchange for giving up their email address. Because remember, in the beginning, that email list is gold. That's what you want, the email list. And then once they grab that free lead magnet, that checklist, or whatever it is that you have created for them that solves a small p problem for them, you get their email address and they're automatically put in a digital funnel that just drives them forward without you having to get behind your keyboard and create emails and create content all the time. And let me say this, I'm gonna stop here. Loves, there's only so much time in the day. I'm not saying you are allotted a lot of bit of time or a little bit of time. You're allotted what you are allotted. And so I want you to consider getting real focused. Write down 3 things that you must do in your business. 3 things. Everything else needs to be delegated. You're going to find that out sooner or later anyway, because if you don't narrow it down to just 3 things, you may very well face overwhelm. And all overwhelm is not knowing what to do next. That's overwhelm. What should I do next? But when you narrow it down to just 3 things, like for me, my 3 things, all things spirituality, I'm going to be in that scripture. That's for me. I got to have my focus on that. The next thing is speaking. I am such a word lush. And then the last thing is sales. And I don't just mean selling people things. I mean selling people on ideas and influencing. So those are my 3 things. So if somebody comes to me and they say, hey, Queen, you want to learn how to build a funnel? Nope. It's not a part of my 3 things. Those are the things that I hire my SMEs, my SMEs, subject matter experts, I hire. Because for whatever reason, the way that God created us, he created us in such a way where we need each other. We depend on, you can't do this alone. You just can't. Like right now, there are crops that are grown only in Central America, and we can't grow it here in America. And so we have to stay in contact and have good relations with Central America so we can engage in a quid pro quo of this for that, right? And so my whole point is just to say, narrow it down to your 3 things and get to know. I hear people say all the time, I'm a student of life. I'm a student of life. A lot of us who believe that we're student of lives are not student of lives. And one of the best ways that you can really be a student of life, get into your scripture, get an understanding what God says about you and who you are and the authority that you stand in, and journal. How many of you journal? Put a yes in the chat if you are a serial journaler. Let me look at the chat. Who journals like crazy? All right, good. Aunt D, yes. Jennifer, Geneva, Kiskia, yes. Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely. Journaling. And when you journal, go back and revisit those pages. As a matter of fact, when big things happen, I highlight it. I highlight it so when I go back, I can revisit those things and see how God has shaped my perspective. So, excuse me, doing those things will help you to understand what it is that you should focus on. Just those 3 things. How am I doing on time? Okay, great. Let me share my screen again. Let's get back to it. Because sometimes we get all over the place. All right. And then we talked about the money math, if you remember. Some of you, the services that you're going to provide to your community is immeasurable and valuable. You really can't put a dollar amount on it. If a woman were to come to you right now and say, hey, I smoked crack all my life and I'm clean. I've been clean for the last 20 years. But when I raised my daughter, we were in and out of crack houses. And so she wants nothing to do with me. But I've given my life to God. And I hear I got grandkids. And now that I have grandkids, I really want to be in my daughter and my grandkids' life. I want to pour into them. I want an opportunity to make things right. But I just don't know how to do it. Some of you can help her do that. And you can't put a dollar amount on that. You can't put a dollar amount on breaking generational curses and helping somebody create legacy. You can't. And so what I would suggest to you is to figure out how much money that you want to make a month. And if you say something like you want to make an extra 20K, then be prepared to really pour in some discipline. I mean, really, I'm talking about you focused on those 3 things and nothing else. But if you don't have the ability to give it that max discipline. I'm talking about you eating oodles of noodles every day. You're not going out to eat. There's no Uber Eats delivering stuff. You don't have people knocking on your door with Amazon boxes and stuff like that. Like you're super focused. Then go ahead and write that 10K, 20K. Right? Otherwise, you can probably start with 2K or the 5K. I think that's great for beta testing something to really get to understand your program before you launch it at scale. And if you have never invested, say, 5K in coaching or whatever it is that you're doing, I would challenge you in saying that you're going to ask other people to invest 5K with you if you've never done it, whether it was a good experience or not. Because either way it goes, you're going to learn. But of course, there are some anomalies. Some of you may say, I have 10K worth of experience right now. I've never had invested that much in a coaching program, but I'm ready. Then absolutely do it, because there are some anomalies. But I'm teaching the principle. I'm not teaching those exceptions right now. All right. So if you say, for example, you want to make an extra 5K a month, my loves, I can't beat into you enough how easy it is. 5K. Again, here is the money question. What problem do you solve? If you want to make an extra 5K a month, then you need to sit back and say, based on what I have to give, what's a 5K problem I can solve for the world? It's just as simple as that. A 5K problem. If your goal is to make 5K extra a month and you're selling $2 shea butter, that's a lot of shea butter. It is. So then we need to go back and sit down and have a conversation about based service-based activities that you can launch. So 5K a month. If you say you can either find one person to invest 5K or you can find 5 folks to invest 1,000, and that's 5K a month. It's not very difficult at all. So you just figure out where you want to start. So we talked about that. All right. So now let's get into the agenda. All right. Let me stop and do a vibe check and make sure everybody is okay. Everybody is okay? Let me check the chat. You guys okay? All right. You can eat the noodles. It's the Amazon packages. I know. And let me tell you, my love, sometimes Amazon will be having same day delivery. I'm like, oh, I can get it the same day. This is amazing. Okay, so let's keep going. God bless Amazon deliveries. Yeah, and everybody who works for them. Okay, so let me show you this. All right, so with your community, you're going to want to tap into tools that's going to help you with your community. I've showed this to you guys before. This is just a regular iPad. And chances are, for most of you that want to launch your community, you already have everything that you need. Right now, we're on Zoom. So I'm hosting my community on what? Zoom. Y'all don't have a WhatsApp link. You don't have a Discord link. We're on Zoom. And we meet once every 2 weeks on Zoom. Which brings another good thing that I want you to think about, which is how often do you want to meet with your community? I used to meet with my community every week, and it was challenging with speaking engagements and ministry and everything I had going on. So every week was a lot for me. In the beginning, every week is cool, but after doing it for a few years, it's like, wow. And then too, even for your community, because you'll find that the first maybe 3 or 4 months, your community is going to be showing up like crazy. But depending on the outcomes or the results that you get for your folks, you'll find that they become so successful that they don't really have time to show up every week. And don't take it personally. It just comes with the territory because you're learning the language. You're learning the energy of your next level. And so you will see that, oh, wow, I used to have 40 people, but now I have like 30. And they'll send you emails and texts and stuff like that as well sometimes. But it's because they're being so productive and it is okay. And so then you have to decide, are you going to provide video replays? And if so, I recommend that you show up on spaces like Zoom because the video quality is much better. If you run your community on like Google Meets, the video quality is horrible. And it's hard to repurpose it in a way that looks like quality. So Zoom is good. And if you only have a free account, meaning you ain't never invested in Zoom, which I think is like $150. Somebody fact check me on the investment for Zoom. It's not much. It's like $150 a year. I'm not sure. But if you have the free account, then you can only talk for 40 minutes. That means you'll meet your community. And right about the 35-minute mark, you got to tell them to hang up and come back on. And that ain't good, right? Especially if somebody's pouring their heart out. So on your to-do list, if you're going to run your community on Zoom, write down, open a Zoom account in 48 hours. All right. So I'm going to use my iPad here. This is my iPad, and I'm going to share my screen. When you're running your community, I'm going to use Explain. I think Explain might be about $30 a year. Where is it? E is the E. Where you go, E? Oh, there you go. It says Explain Everything. It's the little E right there. So you can download that from the App Store. And That's what it looks like. And then it opens, right? And it has, let me show you. You can do all kind of stuff with. You can go live on it, whiteboard, blah, 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 blah. But there are other apps out there as well. And so I just go here to new, and I go to blank canvas. And then it brings me this, right? And it's got all these tools on the side where I can change colors. And then I just use a basic stylus. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is because research shows when you're doing a presentation, even with your community, because you guys know we're competing with our community's attention. They're on social media and all this stuff. And so you're always deploying things to keep their engagement. And so one of the things you can do to keep their engagement, you look in the chat, you see all the goods and the yes and stuff like that. I have to do that because I'm constantly vying for your attention, right? And so you want to use the chat. And in addition, when you share your screen, you are increasing engagement by 40% when you share the screen. So all right, here we go. Let me get these little marks off. And I'm just using a basic stylus from, I think I probably got it from Amazon or something like that. Okay, so what we're going to discuss now is we're going to talk about and I'm going to break it down to 5 steps. When you are teaching classes, one productive thing that you can do is to quantify, to say, we're going to talk about 3 secrets to something. You guys remember last month we talked about the 7 secrets to building a community, because the brain always wants to know how much time I got to give this. And if you are looking for a really great way to present it, go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because it makes people stay because they want to hear what's the number 1. It puts them on the edge of their seats versus going 1, 2, secret number 1 or framework number 2. That type of stuff. So you want to give it some type of a title like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about just 5 steps to running a community that builds the people. And we're going to talk about the flow about it. Okay. So here is step 1. So with step 1, I want you to focus on your intro, because we're building the agenda for your community. And as we go through this, I want you to really sit there and build your agenda for your community. If you already have a community, I want you to think of ways you can smooth it out. And if you don't have a community, just think about some things that you like. All right. And after I go through each step, I'm going to pass the mic to you. And if there's something that you want to add, you might say, I have an idea for this, or have y'all thought about that? Because this is a community and I want you guys just to share. So I want you to think about the intro. And here's the deal. When your community members meet, and you're going to decide on the time that they meet, if you are helping single mothers who are not working, then you can probably work, during the day. If you're working with entrepreneurs, then you could probably set your community up during the daytime. But if you're working with folks who have full-time jobs, then your community may have to run after 4 p.m. or so. But nonetheless, I want you to consider that when your people show up, they're showing up with the weight of the day on their shoulders. And so you have to neutralize that energy. And one of the ways that you can neutralize that energy is with music. You can play music when they first come on. If you have the comedic timing, you can tell a joke. I don't consider myself to be funny, so I don't try to tell jokes. But if you have it, use it, because humor is a really great neutralizer of bad energy, negative energy, just weight. And so you want them to be in a mode where they can receive you, because if you just come in and go straight to the material, then it's hard for them to hear you, because they have all these thoughts about stuff that happened earlier in their life. And you want to try to get rid of that. So like, for example, I'm going to stop this right here. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you all to unmute, take yourselves off unmute. And I want you to say hello to 3 people. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, Whitney. Hey, Queen
Hi,
Shay. Hey,
Yolanda.
Angelica.
Hi,
Hi,
Jennifer. Hi,
Hey,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Hi,
Hey,
Jennifer.
Queen.
Tanisha,
Hey,
hey
Val.
Dolores,
Hi. Hi,
Hi,
Miss
Jay.
Queen.
Keisha,
Hi,
Hi,
Val.
Michelle,
Hi,
hey
B.
Tamara,
Andy.
Hi,
Hi.
Val.
Okay, that's
Joy.
hey
good.
Val,
Hi,
And you see,
Denise.
Tamara,
Hey,
hey
Angelica.
Hi,
Whitney.
Carissa.
okay,
Hello, Miss
time
Wanda.
out.
Hi,
Goodness.
Hi, Michelle.
Mateo.
You guys are
Miss Lynette.
amazing.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
I see you. I
Oh, I
see you,
like that voice.
Angelica.
Listen, beautiful voice. But do you see all the smiles? That is a great way. And go ahead and mute yourself. That is a great way, my loves. I mean, a great way to neutralize energy. Let me see. I don't know if I have my settings there. Jay, press your space bar for me. No, mute yourself, Jay. Now press your space bar. Okay, it won't do it. Now, so I don't have my settings, but here's the deal. You can have fun with Zoom. If you go in your settings and you press, there's something called push to talk in your settings of Zoom. It is a rapid way to unmute. So you can teach your community that when it's their opportunity to talk, they can just press the space bar instead of unmuting, and then they will be able to unmute. But I got to go in my settings and I need to preset that. And maybe if I remember, I'll show you guys how to do it that way. But anyway, so we talked about music, we talked about humor, and then we talked about open mic for a quick hello. See how I just did that? You guys can do that in the beginning with your community. Hey, everybody say, and it creates unity as well. So consider doing that during your intro. Another thing that you can do in the beginning for your intro is visualization. When you're doing your visualization, you might say, sit back, relax, close your eyes, and I want you to think about what God is saying to you right now. So you're walking up to that new building. You've just been handed the keys and you're about to put it inside the hole. What does it smell like? What does it look like? What kind of people? So you can do that. You can do a visualization with them in the beginning. And then also another thing you can do is like wins for the week. You can also start off with gratitude. Okay, welcome everybody. Listen, who has one thing that they are just grateful for? Gratitude is a wonderful neutralizer of energy. Okay, so who has another thing that they would like to share that maybe they do or they would like to do for an intro? Go ahead and take the mic. Remember, never pass up the opportunity to take the mic. Anybody else have any ideas for an intro? And if you don't want to take the mic, you can just type it in the chat.
I was going to mention icebreakers, but what you have been saying is kind of like those icebreakers.
Yes. An icebreaker. Absolutely. I tell you a good icebreaker that I use is, and of course it depends on the platform, is, I'm going to write that here, icebreaker. I don't make my font go up. Is, I don't like that font. Is, imagine you are 15, no, let's go 13. Imagine you're 13 years old and you've been handed, $5. What kind of ice cream are you getting? As a matter of fact, I'm asking you guys that now. You're 13 years old again. Ice cream man is in your neighborhood. You hear the music and mom just gave you $5. What ice cream are you getting? Put it in the chat. What are you getting? Now, if you in Atlanta, you can get weave glue, you can get pig feet, you can get all kind of stuff in the ice cream truck there. But we just gonna keep it the ice cream. You gonna get cookies and cream, vanilla. Mom, I know you're gonna probably get the butter pecan. I already know that for you. I'm gonna get that little push-up ice, like the little push-up, the little peach-looking one. A pickle. Yes, Val, the pickle. You can get the spicy pickle or regular pickle, Val. I had to grow into that spicy pickle. I like the spicy pickle. White turtle. You had white turtle growing up? You had the Astro Pop. You guys remember the Astro Pop? So it's a great icebreaker. You can even ask, questions like if you could, if you had a wish, like what is one thing you would like to know about history you would see? Like I wouldn't mind witnessing from a very safe view, God creating the earth and witnessing what he did in the first 7 days, just firsthand. Okay, great. So you guys got your list. So you have your things that you can choose from for your first, for your intro, and your intro should be about 5 minutes. So the next step, I want you to consider in your agenda is, what are you going to teach them? And we already talked about the steps to what you're going to teach them. Now, this should last about 15 minutes. Now, keep in mind, you can change this. It can last longer. It could be shorter. It is your platform. It is whatever you want to do. I'm just giving you a foundation. I'm giving you a guide. And so the thing that you're going to teach them is based on their problems. What problem can you solve? Because this is when you are teaching them this step 2 right here, this helps them with buyer's remorse, because a lot of the times people will be in the energy, they'll sign up for your community and they'll say, why did I even sign up for this? But this right here, this is where you're going to make the money, and they're going to say, man, this alone was worth coming. And so this gives you an opportunity to kind of strut yourself. Now, we all know that there are 3 things that the human race wants to succeed in. What are those 3 things? Somebody tell me the 3 things that the human race wants to succeed in. Everybody, no matter what it is. What is it?
Relationship.
Health.
Yes. Health, wealth, and relationships. Which, by the way, if you don't know what it is that you want to do in life, chances are it falls in one of those categories: health, wealth, or relationships, because the human race wants to succeed in all 3 of those categories. And so if you can help them in those categories, you can also make an impact and an income. We know that service to many leads to greatness. And so you can definitely find many people in those categories. And I'm going to add another one here for my ministers: faith or purpose. So, for example, you might say that, you did the research and you found that a lot of people are having issues as it relates to maybe health. Maybe they just don't understand calories. And so you might say you're going to give a class. If this is your community, if your community is built around health, you may talk about 3 ways to lose weight without counting calories. So you might say, next week we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can lose weight without counting calories. And so they're definitely going to show up for that. Now, if it's a wealth class like Aunt D and like Whitney that's on here, you might say, okay, next week we're going to talk about 7 simple ways to find grants even when you don't have an LLC, right? If you are in the relationship sector and you know that the couples that you're helping or the women that you're helping, for example, you might say, I see that there's a growing trend in pride. And I see that a lot of the women that I'm helping, they have a lot of masculine energy, and I want to help them with that. You might say, for step 2, for 15 minutes, I'm going to give them a class on how to win an argument by losing the fight. Right. And that's going to help them with that. And then for you ministers out here, which is something that I'm working on as well, helping a group of women with this, you may say, I'm going to do a class next week on how to keep your faith after spiritual abuse, like church hurt. Right? And so you are giving them
huge.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, spiritual abuse is out of control. And let me know if you give a class on that, called and chosen, because I would love to come sit in it. I sit in some of your classes, and you guys just bless me so much when I do. So thank you for those of you that invite me to your events. When I can show up, I definitely show up. So here's just some ideas of a problem that you can solve for your community. Now, after you solve that problem for your community, now it's time to hear from them. I mean, you've been pouring into them. Now give them an opportunity to pour out when you enter into step 3. So with step 3, you're going to confront their problems, and then you're going to pour into their solutions. And I want you to remember that, especially for folks who don't take notes, or people who take notes and never go back and revisit them. That's why I always take notes in my cell phone, or I take notes on a Google document. Because if I go to a class, let's say that Aunt D is giving a class on wealth, I'm taking notes. If I ever need to do an impromptu class or, whatever it is, I can just go in my phone and I can, send a text message to Queen's Notes. Aunt D just gave a great class on banking strategies for first-time business owners, in which she said to make sure I have 4 business accounts. Okay, so it's sending right now, as you can see, and I have it in there. Now, you can do that. Listen, I don't know nothing about you Android users. I'm an iPhone user, a proud iPhone user. But so I don't know if you can do that with your Android, is my point. But if you have an iPhone, you can simply just grab the side, send a message to yourself, like it's a text message. Use your cell phone like a dictaphone. And then whenever I want to pull up all my notes in my phone about wealth, no matter the date time group, no matter who said it, I just go into my phone and I just type the word wealth. And everything is going to populate on wealth. It's the same thing with your Google document. It gives you an opportunity to synthesize things. How many of you want to be thought leaders in your sector? Thought leaders? Any thought leaders out there? Yeah, Heidi, Jay, Demisha. Yeah. And so if you want to be a thought leader, one of the things that you can do is learn to synthesize information. It's kind of like if somebody gave you sugar and they gave you water and they gave you a pack of
Lay down. No.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. And somebody gave you a pack of Kool-Aid. Then you can take all those ingredients and make a great glass of Kool-Aid, right? And so when you have all your notes, all your experiences, stories, and you have them in one place, and you look at it and you're giving it a panoramic view, it gives you a different way to look at it, because you're like, this person said it this way, this person said this, plus my experience, and now you're putting your own spin on it. It is a great way to start your journey into being a thought leader. Okay, so let's keep going. So you give them an opportunity to pour out, and just keep in mind that people don't always remember what you said, but they remember what you said that shifted something inside of them. And so the way that you give them an opportunity to pour out in step 3, you might say, I'm going to create a hot seat. And with the hot seat, either you can say volunteers for a hot seat, or you can have them submit questions like maybe 2 days before you meet. And you can say, hey, listen, community members, for our hot seat portion tomorrow, who has a pressing question, submit it now on whatever document or form that you use. And then I'm going to put you in the hot seat and we're going to discuss it then. Or you can just do an open discussion. That's a great way to do it. Or you can do something called like what's really going on. Whatever you want to call it. But the bottom line is that you want to figure out what their problems are. And when you are asking what their problems are, don't just say, hey, what are your problems? It's your time. The mic is yours. Because a lot of times people they're not really forthcoming that way. And so you want to be very specific in your questions. So you might say, for example, what's one thing that's been draining your faith lately? And then people will sit and they'll say, me, and they'll come up and they'll share that one thing that's been draining their faith. Or what's been blocking your next step in building your business? And they might say finances or whatever, and it gives you an opportunity. And the good thing about this is when they're pouring out all of these questions and all of these pressing things, you're either recording these questions down on paper, or your VA, your virtual assistant, is doing that. And then you might very well turn that into a class for one of the coming weeks. All right. So that's gold. This step right here is gold. I can't tell you how many classes I created because you guys have trusted me with some of the things that you had going on. Okay, let's go to step 4. Step 4, we only got one more to go. Step 4, practice. This is your opportunity to get it in their body. It's kind of like, when we go to service, when we go to worship service, And even though the pastor may have delivered a powerful sermon, by the time we make it to Golden Corral, we forgot what the person said. We don't even remember what the sermon was about, but we know it was good. That's because many times when we're sitting in worship service, unless you're like me, you're up and you doing whatever, a lot of times there's no opportunity to really get it into our body. We sit, we take notes every once in a while. Amen. That's it. But you want to give them an opportunity to get it into their body, which is one of the reasons why I give you guys call to actions, or I send you into your breakthrough rooms, because I want you to get stuff into your body. And when I send you into your breakthrough rooms, my version of getting into your body is getting you training on just speaking up in front of a group of people. And so I'm helping you to build your speaking confidence without you guys really knowing it. Okay, some of you know. And so when you get it into their body through the practice, you might say your call to action over the next week is going to be a 24-hour challenge. But right now, I want you to spend the next 10 minutes doing step 1 of the 24-hour challenge. So you're going to come up with exercises for them, right? It may be that. It may be a reflection. You might ask for a reflection. And I love this one. You may say, for the next 10 minutes, I want you to partner with someone, and you're going to do a prayer partner, exercise or assignment, right? Now, before I go to step 5, what are some of your ideas for either step 2, 3, and 4? Anybody have any ideas? Anything they want to share? You can either go to the mic or you could put it in the chat.
I can share. Something that comes to mind for step 3 is asking a question like, what is one thing that you think could take you to the next level in your relationship?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to add that. Thank you. Anybody else?
Or what does a successful outcome look like for you? I like to set the expectations too.
Okay. And let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing. And that's really important. I love that both you share that, because when you're coaching, that's called future visualization, future coaching. So for example, some of you, when you go to bark.com or when you start doing your one-on-one coaching, you're going to also want to know, how do I drive impact for the person on the other end of the call? Because it's not like you're just having a conversation with a homie or with a homegirl, with a friend. This is a professional conversation. How do you do that? And you want to bring information. You need intel. And so one of the things that I do is I ask them where they are now, and they might say, I'm just starting. And okay, got it. And then they'll say, I'll ask, okay, well, where do you want to be in, say, 6 months? Where do you see yourself? And they'll say, well, in 6 months, I see myself on stage, traveling with my children, and making an extra $5,000 a month, for example. And I say, great. And then what I'll do with that information is I'll create what's called an ascension plan, a growth plan. And I'll make it easy. I won't overwhelm them. But then I'll say, okay, here are 3 ways to get them from point A to point B. And I'll start them off like that. Right? Or if you are in a coaching program and you don't know what questions to ask, one of the questions that you can ask of your coach, mentor, strategist, whatever it is that you're in, you can say, okay, I just launched my first event, or I just put the marketing up for my first event. Based on my KPIs, because we talked about key performance indicators, based on my KPIs, I want at least 500 people to register. I want at least 100 people to show up, because remember we talked about conversion rates last session. I want at least 100 people to show up, and I need at least 20 people to invest in this program. What are 3 things I can do right now to make sure that happens? When you pitch it like that, you're able to get information that's so specific that it should almost blow your mind. So thank you so much for adding that, Jay and Aunt D. So now, last, step 5. With step 5, I want you to think about your exit energy. Now, with step 5, this is how you're going to close out. And that should be about 5 minutes. And the practice should be about 10 minutes, right? Your pour out could be about 15 minutes. And then you have your step 2 is about 15 minutes. All right. And this is, for like a 1 hour. If you're spending 1 hour with your community a week, or either 1 hour with your community every 2 weeks. Because we meet every 2 weeks, I tend to spend about 2 hours with you, which for me averages about an hour a week. All right. So you're going to work on your exit energy. So in other words, you don't want to send them off by saying, okay, see you next time. Right? You don't want to do that. When you send them off, you want to send them off with a CTA, which is call to action. You want to give them something to do that's going to help them to move the needle, which we're doing your CTA right now. I have you guys building your agenda step by step, and you're going to work on that as well. That's going to be your CTA to build out your agenda, your 5-step agenda. So you don't want to say, see you next time. You want to give them a CTA, and then you want to say, all right, everybody stop, breathe in, breathe out. I just want to remind you that you're not in this journey alone. God bless. You see, you want to send them out with the right energy, which reminds me of something that all of you can work on, which you already have, which is, and we talked about it a little bit before, your software and your hardware. If you can, go ahead and start working on your hardware. Your hardware might be a t-shirt with your company name on it. When you drink from mugs, your mugs may have your company logo on it. That's your hardware. You're positioning things in your environment that has your hardware on it. Your software are like mantras and saying. Like in the beginning when I said, who can share with us the one rule we have? And Jay and Kia said, never pass up the opportunity to take the mic, right? That's your software. What are some calls and responses that you can implement in your community? Because it's going to help feed your brand, all right? So I want you to start thinking of that. Now, we didn't cover it, but I also want you to think about gamification. How can you gamify your community? Right. So one way, and Heidi, no, we didn't do that with you because you came down to an event that was in El Paso that I was a part of. But we didn't do it with you. But Heidi, maybe you remember when we gamified, one thing we did was we gave a gift to the first person who got there, and we gave a gift to the last person who showed up. And it was based on a sign in and sign out roster. So for those of you that are doing retreats, or you're doing in-person events, even if it's digital, you can write down the first person to show up. And I wouldn't do the last person if it's digital, but if it's in person, the last person, and you can give them a $100 gift card for Amazon or a $25 gift card or whatever it is, but make it an easy deliverable. So gamification. Another thing, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Another thing that you can start considering is the unicorn. Who remembers when I talked about the unicorn? Having a unicorn in the room. Anybody know what a unicorn is?
I'm sorry. I think I wasn't on here, but I think I have a pretty good idea.
Okay.
It's like when you have a specific person set to kind of answer or like answer a specific question or ready to ask a question so that you can drive people to actually begin to speak, because people don't want to be the first person, but they tend to, if somebody else speaks or hears their voice, then they're more likely to speak. Just to kind of give you a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, but I'm glad you mentioned that though, love, because you're talking
sorry.
about like having, no, that was good, because I like that, because for some of you, if you see a problem in your community, like people are afraid to speak, you can do that. You can have a room moderator like she's talking about, and you can have them to ask the first 2 questions just to kind of set the tone. I love that. So some of you may need to jot that down. Hire a room moderator or delegate, get somebody to be a room moderator. That's a really good point. So thank you for sharing that. But that brought me another thought when you said that. I'm so darn, I should have wrote it down. Anyway, but a unicorn is an object that you put in the room that it gets people attention, but you never mention it. Like a unicorn could be like, some people wear some really great glasses, right? And they got glitter and all kind of stuff on it. That's a unicorn. A unicorn that you can consider having in the room or on your person might be like, if you have dogs and cats and you know that your people, your tribe, your community, whatever you decide to call them, you know for some reason that they like dogs and cats, give them a moment in the spotlight. Like, get your little Toto and say, okay, and then put it down, because people will latch on to you. They will like you when they see that they have something in common with you. I did a class on sales once, and I had shoes positioned all in the back. They were in the background, just all these different shoes that glitter and stuff. And I never once mentioned the shoes, but the chat was going crazy. Like, you know, where'd you get those shoes? And that shoe on the left and that shoe on the right. And it was just in the back. And the name of the class, I think it was called Make More Sales in the Shoes in Your Closet. It was something real corny, but it worked, right? It worked. You can do that. My unicorn is my head wrap. So sometimes I wear some really colorful head wraps, and people just, some of y'all like me with my head wraps, right? Because I'm set apart. I don't want to look like everybody else. And so I want you to think of a unicorn that you can put in your room. It might be a Wonder Woman action figure, a unicorn that you can put in your background. Another thing I want to bring up that is not necessarily on the schedule is the microphone. This is a Shure microphone. This microphone that I'm using, so I can bring it up in the camera. Okay, here we go. This microphone that I'm using, this is about a $500 microphone. You can get, Amazon better give me some stock. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go to Best Buy and pick it up. You can order it online, drive through. They'll bring it out to your car as well. This Shure microphone is really good, but when I first started, I used the Maoni. It was like Maoni, something like that. It was like $50 on Amazon, and that microphone was clear, and it was only like $50. Maoni, Maono, and I love that microphone. Now, when I'm traveling, I use this one. This is my Blue Yeti microphone. It fits in my little carry-on, right? And I'll take this with me. It's real small. When I'm traveling, I usually use this. So for those of you that when you're getting your communities up and running, I don't want you to feel like you're creating another cubicle for yourself, but the sound quality is really important for your community. So let me give you an example of the difference in the sound quality. Let me go to video settings here. I could have went to audio, and you have to go all the way around the world for this. And I am going to change my microphone to, I don't know if it'll do it. Okay, do you hear the difference in the quality now? Do I sound different? Okay, so imagine if I was talking to you guys for 3 or 4 hours like this, it might be somewhat, not really aggravating, but when it comes to repurposing your content, the quality is just not there. And so my whole point is, if you're not willing to invest, you don't have a business. And so invest in your business. Get a good microphone. Let's switch back. Okay, are we good now? You hear the better quality? Okay, great. Get a good microphone and use it. Even if you don't have the microphone yet, or the funds for the microphone, or if you're still doing the research, I don't have them with me, but use the earbuds. Earbuds is still a lot of times better than your computer's microphone. Earbuds are great, but here is the deal. If you get earbuds and you use earbuds, my recommendation is to use one at a time. So like Jay, she has her headphones. I don't use headphones because I'm not quite sure how I would make it work. I'm like Bart Simpson in a way. I'm not sure how I would make it work, but you can use the headphones. It really increases the quality. And in fact, there are some platforms, if you don't use Zoom, there are some, like if you go to Tony Robbins events and stuff like that, where they have like 500 people on, there are some platforms like that where you have to use the headphones in order to increase the quality. It's some bugs in their system. But if you do use the ear pods, use one at a time, because a lot of the times your ear pods may go dead. And it's okay if it go dead and you got one charging and you can just switch them out like that and keep going. And then you also sometimes, especially if you wear big earrings, you'll want to use one ear at a time, because the earring will constantly bump up against your ear pod, and it could be distracting. All right. So I'm going to stop here and ask you, do you have any questions? Any questions, any thoughts? Anybody want to add anything? If so, go ahead, unmute and take.
I did. I'm not sure if this would apply to the information you were just giving. And first of all, thank you. I came in late, but you always have amazing jewels and you look beautiful and I love your head wrap. So
Thank you.
It is a unicorn. Okay. So what I did want to say is that I purchased a microphone. I don't know the brand, but I can let you know later. And it plugs into your iPhone and it clips on your clothing.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that for this type of situation or not?
Yes. Yeah, like how Jay has. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing about it, you have to make sure, like, see, I move a lot. Your clothes can rub against it, and it can be a distraction as well. So
Okay, like if it makes staticky noise. So maybe putting
Right.
it somewhere that it maybe even clipping it close to you, something really close to you so it doesn't rustle.
Right, absolutely. And even so, you want to do your rehearsals. My loves, I will tell you that point blank, the way that you rehearse, it has an effect on your confidence. Like the way you show up and how nervous you are is a direct correlation to how much you have rehearsed. And in those rehearsals, you have to rehearse your systems, your microphones, everything, because technology has its own personality. You guys saw when I came in today, you guys watched the 4-minute video, and during that time I couldn't turn off one of my computers, so you probably heard back feed, you probably heard an echo. Technology has its own personality. And so when you're doing those rehearsals, especially for high vis events, I recommend coming on Zoom and testing out your technology. You can actually sit in there watching yourself. So you're going to test out your microphone. So like, for example, even with a Shure, you're not supposed to be direct like this. It's supposed to be at an angle, and you're going to test that out. You're going to test out. So I have an amp. I wonder if I can pull this up, if I can bring it up. So I have an amp here that I use. So I have to test that out as well. You want to test out everything. And while I'm saying that, thank you so much for bringing that up about the mic. Like, for example, this is a good time. I dress somewhat, modestly. And so this is a good time to test out those clothes. Hey, Dr. Asir, look at your beautiful self. I haven't seen that picture before. This is a good time to test out your clothes. So this is a dress that I got a while back, and you see, hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me? So you can see how it cuts here, right? So I would never come on in this dress. But what I would do is I would wear it backwards, right? I would wear it backwards, and there's a little zipper here. And you guys would be none the wiser. And I have done it. So it's a good opportunity. Those clothes that you like, listen, it's too provocative, I wouldn't wear it. This is a good opportunity to take those clothes on a test drive, because if you're constantly recording, sometimes you just don't have enough clothes that you like to keep up with all the different appearances that you do. And if you're like me and you have 7-figure goals, you just don't want to just be spending money frivolously for no reason. Another thing I want you to consider when you're running your communities is your audience. Some of you, who's going to be working with folks who may have PTSD or who's dealing with some type of mental stress. So I want you to take that into consider, Nicole and also Heidi. Okay, great. Take that into consideration, because if you're going to be sharing slides, like how I just shared slides, Slides that are busy with a lot of colors and a lot of patterns can be triggering for your people. And so you don't want you want to consider in those cases maybe just using black and white slides. And when you dress, you don't want to wear clothes with a lot of zigzags and a lot of patterns because it can be triggering. So you'll do your research on your target audience. Even when you're doing media appearances, I've been on the news twice. And when you're doing the media appearances, you don't want to wear clothes that have a lot of zigzags, a lot of lines, because for some reason, when it plays back, it makes you look wavy. It makes you look, it just looks funny. And so solid colors are really good. I tend not to wear dark colors because I know a lot of people say that dark colors make you look slimmer. I prefer to just look brighter. And so, let your, we a lot of times we think that, art is creative. And when we write, we can be creative, but you can absolutely be creative with your clothes as well. Your clothes also tells a story. And so you have an opportunity to tell your story and be creative by what you wear as well. So just take that into consideration and have fun with your platforms, my loves. You are not creating a jail for yourself. You see how I come in and I just address elephants in the room. Hey, we had technology issue. We have this. Be yourself. You have an opportunity to be authentic, my loves, and you do not have to be perfect. You don't. When I showed up and I gave this class, like right here by because I will go far left, I will go far right, I will fire hose you guys. And so I have a little note right here. I have my little notes here. And so as I'm writing, it's helping to guide me. So do things like that. You can have notes around you to help guide you. I don't like scripts. If you need a script, use a script in the beginning if you want. We all sing karaoke until we learn how to write our own music. And so if you need to write out a script and learn word for word in the beginning, do it. Go through your process. Your process is yours. I don't like it because I don't like to be boxed in. Then I can't look at the chat and feel you guys' energy. All right. So do what you have to do. Nicole, hey, you got something you want to add? You have a question, my love? The mic is yours.
Oh, I guess I didn't lower my hand from last time, which is actually perfect because I just wanted to mention I'm an artist as well, and I've thrown events before. And so we have to always remember when we're creating a flyer, or like you said, when you're creating a slide, we can't look through our lens the way we interpret information. We have to think about our audience because to us, it could be really clear. I mean, my flyer was so beautiful. Everybody complimented my artwork, but I don't think they knew what I was doing. I don't think they knew what the event was about, girl. I think they were confused. So I went out of my way
Absolutely.
to make it look so trippy and beautiful and colorful and highlight all the other artisans participating, but it was just too creative. So you don't want to get so creative. And also I'm a jeweler. So for example, I can take a picture of my jewelry from really far away and I can know what's the detail in that piece of jewelry, how I made it, everything. The next person is not the jeweler. The next person has no idea that concept. I realized it once when I was in a hotel lobby. I saw a painting. It was beautiful. And I knew exactly what it was because of my interpretation, my life, my experiences. The other woman looked at it and didn't know what it was. So once you see that vantage point, send it to a couple of your friends. Be like, do you and then don't be offended. You got to take your offense off of your shoulder and be objective. And everybody's not going to sugarcoat it. I've blocked people after they gave me some interpretations of my flyers before. So, you just have to just
Yeah.
pray about it and be objective.
Thank
But it
you.
makes you better. It makes you stronger and it
Yes.
makes you get it right. I got to hop in the shower. I'm going to keep listening. So if you don't hear me for a bit, that's fine. I got a meeting. But
Thank
thank you so much
you.
for the
Thank
jewels.
you,
Thank you.
love. Thank
You're
you. Thank you
welcome.
for the golden nuggets too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, my love. The criticism will come up, my love. So it just comes with the nature of what it is that you do. Even with called and chosen, my love. That's we were talking about spiritual abuse, like even for a second there. Proverbs 31 powerhouses, there are certain things that just comes along with the territory of what you're going to do. And you have an opportunity to prove that you are ready for the next level. And you cannot, for lack of a better word, get your panties in a bunch over every little thing. My car, just like your cars. I'm sure that one time you went inside the store and you came out and there was a ding on your vehicle that wasn't there before. I don't get upset over stuff like that because I knew when I got the vehicle that that was a possibility. There are certain things that are just a possibility, even in the church. There is a great possibility that somebody may talk about you. There's a great possibility that whoever is giving the sermon, that they don't say everything accurately. There's a great possibility that some pastors will share stories that shouldn't be shared, either about their life or from a counseling session behind the pulpit, because pastors will use almost everything. There are certain things that comes with the territory, but you have to decide what you're going to do in that moment. Because I'm telling you, there is no perfect, Christ is, but there is no perfect church, my loves. And even if you found a perfect church, as soon as you joined, it would no longer be perfect, right? And so you have to decide what your boundaries are and what God is telling you. Because just because you see that something is wrong, even in our business, just because you see that something just didn't go straight, that doesn't mean that you throw in the towel or you go find another church. Right? Because the problems that happen in our life, I believe that the problems that happen in our life are just as much about us than it is about the other person. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to open up the breakthrough rooms now, and I want you to go in and jump around. We got Aunt D here. Aunt D, are you going to be in one of the rooms, loves? And Whitney, are you going to be in one of the rooms?
Sure.
Okay. Whitney, what about you, my love?
Sure, I can be in a room.
Okay. Listen, I'm just so excited to see you, Whitney. Whitney's been having some opportunities this week, and she might share it with you. So I'm going to open up the breakthrough rooms. This is your opportunity to take your future on a test drive, because when you're running your communities, I highly recommend that you have breakthrough sessions. It gives an opportunity for your community to be felt, seen, and heard. Also gives them an opportunity to learn from each other. You guys can go in and network, share your social media handles, share what you do, share all your information. You're networking when you're in there as well. You're going to choose a room based on a theme. You can go into a room and talk about content creation ideas. How do you time drip content? And by the way, I won't be in the content creation room, but I don't know if you know, but social media, Facebook and Instagram, they know when we're using apps that to time drip our content. Like there are apps you can use. You can upload all your content for the month, and that way, instead of you going in and posting stuff every day or once every 3 days, there are apps that you can use to do that. Well, Facebook and Instagram, they're on to that now. And when they see that people are doing that, they don't feed your algorithm like they would if you just did it one by one. You get higher FaceTime or impressions. You get more impressions when you do it one by one.
Can you please repeat that again? I didn't quite hear you.
Okay, yeah. So what I said was, instead of using an app to time drip your social media content so that it frees you up, it's more productive if you go in and you take your post and you post to Facebook manually, and then you post to Instagram manually, instead of using an app and posting one place and allowing that app to post to all 3 or 4 social medias that you have at once. Because when you use that app, Facebook, Instagram, they know that you're using that app, and they won't put as many people in front of your content. But whoever your social media manager is, if you tell them, hey, no, I don't want you to use something that time drips the content. I want you to post one by one manually. What you'll see is that you get more people looking at your content. Is that clearer? You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So I met with a 7-figure company, and they was giving me these briefings and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So you can go into
Can I ask
room.
a quick question about what you just said, please?
Sure.
Does that also apply to the ones that will post them at different times? Is that the same thing too? Because aren't there an app that will post it for you if you line them all up and you do them in advance?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay,
You're
okay. I
probably
just want
yeah.
Okay. All
It
right. Thank you
applies
for
to that as
explaining.
well. But let me tell
Okay.
you, test it. Everything test. Those are the KPIs I'm talking about. Go in and look at how many impressions. Go and look at your metadata. If you don't know how to set up your metadata, go to Fiverr or Uplands or whoever and tell somebody to set up your metadata accounts and to back brief you. One of the things I do, I know you guys are going to into the rooms, but one of the things that I do is if I hire somebody like a freelancer, I give them a job and I tell them when you're about 80% complete, we have to meet on Zoom. And when we meet on Zoom, even if it's like I use Zapier, some of you, and I use make.com, some of you signed up for my programs through Eventbrite or social media or whatever. Now, when you sign up on Eventbrite, I need for your email address, your registration information to get from Eventbrite to Kajabi, because Kajabi is my CRM system, right? In order to do that, I need an app. I need a system that will talk to each other. So I use Zapier and I use make.com, make.com. Make is for more complex. When you have, like, my email list is in the several thousands. So for more complex systems, I use make.com. But for simple, I use Zapier. And so when there is a glitch in the system and I want a freelancer just to fix it for whatever reason, I'll say, if you take this job when you're about 80% complete, whatever 80% looks like to you, you have to get on my link. We meet on Zoom and you got to back brief me. They think that they're back briefing me, but I'm recording it and they're actually teaching me. So for about $25, I'm getting my problem fixed and they're giving me a class. I'm getting a free class from a subject matter expert and it's recorded. And so I take that and I put it in my continuity book. You guys with me? Right. Okay. So that way, when you hire somebody to do that permanently, you say, okay, here's your continuity folder and it has all this good information in it. But go into the rooms. You have a room you can talk about books or podcasts. Maybe you wrote a book or you're going to write a book or it's a book you love. Or maybe it's a podcast. You can go into one room and meet with Aunt D, who's on here, who is our community financial guru. She has her own company. She does her own wonderful thing. You can go in there and talk to Aunt D about tax strategies, banking strategies, and then she'll probably get on a one-on-one call with you later if that's a good fit. You can go into a room and talk about speaking ideas. You can go into a room, gratitude and prayer. And then a networking room, just exchange information. And then you can go in and talk with wealth and wellness with Whitney. And Whitney might even share her most recent opportunity with you. I'm so excited if she started reflecting and thinking about pivoting and things like that. So go ahead and join the rooms. Hop around. Remember, never pass up the opportunity to take the mic. If you have any issues getting into a room, just unmute and say, Queen, put me in the books room or the speaking idea room. Like Jay is in the speaking idea room. You can unmute or put it in the chat, type it in the chat. Put me in Whitney's room or put me in Dee's room. Maybe you want to start off in the content creation room, but hop around, my loves. Hop around. Your goal is to go in and pour into the room. But if you have a question, ask people in the room, hey, does anybody have any experience with this thing? And you can go in and ask those questions. Have fun, my loves. I am looking at the chat to see if anybody needs assistance getting into a room. I'm freezing. I was freezing. Okay. Am I good now? Was I freezing earlier? No? Okay.
Can you put me in Whitney room?
Sure. Say that one more time. Who said that?
Pam,
Okay.
put me in Whitney room.
Okay, I got you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Beaming you up now, Miss Williams.
I'm sorry. Did the breakout rooms come up? Because I'm trying, I didn't see any. You had to select a room or something?
I can start you off. Which room do you want to go in?
I
Sometimes when
don't
you want
know. I just went,
speaking, content.
I wasn't here last What time? So how much longer is this? Because I have another appointment and I don't want to miss that appointment.
Oh, yeah, stay for as long as you can, but it's another 10 minutes.
Okay. You can send me into I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't know, prayer or something. I don't know. Just wherever
Okay,
you send me
I'll
is
start
fine.
you.
It doesn't matter where you send me. I'm open. Let's
Okay.
try that.
All
Okay, let's
right,
do it
Miss
this way.
Dolores, I'm putting you in the speaking room.
Okay, thank you.
Speaking ideas. Yes. Anybody else? Take your time if you're still trying to figure out the room you want to go in. In about 2 minutes, I'll just start casting everybody in a specific room. Anybody
Thank you.
else? Let me see.
Um, Queen
Demisha,
Adalah.
I got you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
hi.
Hi.
Um, I think, did you say you have a prayer and gratitude room or speaking room?
Yes. You want to go into
Yes.
prayer and gratitude
Yes,
room?
please. I'll start with
Okay.
that.
Let's
Thank
see.
you so
Let's
much.
see. Nobody's in that room. They're hopping around. How about the
Okay.
speaking room? I'll put you in that one first, and you can hop around yourself
Oh,
once you
okay.
get in
Thank
there.
you so much.
You're
You
welcome,
look so beautiful
Tara.
as
Well,
always.
thank you, my love. To God be the glory.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, next week we'll start talking about how to speak to your mountain. We may take it from Mark, from the book of Mark. How do you guys feel about that?
Yes. Are you sure we can't stay on and talk about it now?
Listen, Jay, don't threaten me with a good time because I'm telling you, I would be tempted to do it. So let's get y'all out of here. Thank you so much for showing up, Lisa and Aunt D and Tara and Victoria, Whitney and Misha, Carissa, Jay, Dolores, Jennifer, Pamela. Like, listen, all of you, thank you so much for showing up. I hope you got something out of today. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. If you would, please leave a one-sentence testimonial about your experience here with the Proverbs 31 Powerhouse platform. Thank you, Val. I think Val already. No, there she is. Thank you, Val. Val left a beautiful. She went above the standard and left a video. So thank you so much for leaving that video. Didn't Aunt D, you left a video like years ago or something like that. So thank you so much as well. And just like I said to you guys earlier, check out the exit energy. The exit energy, you guys. Take a deep breath in, let it out, and just know that God has you and you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are not behind the learning curve. You are not behind the power curve. God has you and you can do not some things, not a little bit of things, but you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a beautiful day, my loves. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you. Thank
Oh, I
you.
love you
Thank you, Queen.
guys. Thank you. I can't wait to talk
Everybody.
about speaking to your mountain. We're going to have a good time. Good time with that one.